Welcome back! Today we are going to talk about learning. And before we get into the psychology, I want to take a moment to appreciate all the different ways human beings have convinced themselves they are learning, while absolutely not learning. The highlighter, the beautiful notes person, the crammer, the rereader, the 2x speed watcher. If you saw yourself in any of those, welcome. You are in good company. And also, we need to talk. Today, we are going back to basics. What learning actually is, how it happens in your brain, why a child with 0 books learns more in 5 years than most of us manage in a decade of formal education. And a quick tour of the major types of learning, each of which is getting its own full video very soon. Plus, as always, our mind fact at the end. Let us begin. So, what is learning? Ask most people and they will say studying, reading, going to school, which is a perfectly reasonable answer. But psychology has something different to say. In psychology, learning is defined as a relatively permanent change in behavior or knowledge that comes from experience. 3 words in that definition are doing all the heavy lifting. Relatively, permanent, experience. Relatively, because learning is not absolute. It is not carved in stone forever. Skills can fade if unused. Knowledge can blur over time. But the foundation always stays. You may not have ridden a bicycle in 10 years, but the moment you sit on one, your body remembers. That is relatively permanent. Not perfectly permanent, but never fully gone either. Permanent, because learning is not just remembering something for one exam and then forgetting it by next day. That is not learning. That is short-term memory doing you a favor. Temporarily. Real learning leaves a mark. It changes something in you that was not there before. You are not the same person after genuinely learning something as you were before it. Experience. Because learning does not only happen in classrooms. Learning happens every time you get a reaction from someone and adjust what you say next time. Every time you fall off a bicycle and figure out how not to do that again. So what does actually happen inside your brain when you learn something? Every thought you have, every skill you develop, every piece of information you hold is the result of neurons in your brain forming connections with each other. Neurons are your brain cells. You have approximately 86 billion of them. 86 billion. And yet, we still forget where we put our phone. Truly something. These neurons communicate through connections called synapses. And here is the key principle, one you already know from the memory video. Neurons that fire together, wire together. Every time you learn something new, neurons form a new connection. Every time you revisit, practice, or use that information, that connection gets stronger. And the stronger the connection, the easier the recall, the more automatic the skill, the deeper the learning. The scientific term for this is neuroplasticity. Your brain's ability to change, adapt, and reorganize itself by forming new neural connections throughout your life. And this is the most important thing I want you to take from this section. Your brain is not fixed. It is not finished. It can change at any age. Learning is not something only young people can do. It is not something only smart people can do. It is something every brain is built to do, constantly, for life. Now, here is the question that has been sitting at the back of this entire video. A child, by the age of 5, has learned to walk, run, jump, and balance. has learned an entire language, grammar, vocabulary, tone, sarcasm, has learned complex social rules, what makes people laugh, what makes them upset, how to get what they want, has learned to recognize hundreds of faces, places, and objects, has learned fear, love, trust, disappointment, and joy. All of this before age 5, with 0 textbooks, 0 exams, 0 highlighters. And then we spend the next 15 years in formal education, and somehow learning becomes the thing we dread most. Something went wrong somewhere between the playground and the exam hall, and psychology has some very clear ideas about what it was. So what is the baby actually doing that we stopped doing?
Over here! Throw the ball! Come on, throw it! Yes, that ball! Throw it to me!
4 things. First, learning through experience, not instruction. A baby does not read about gravity. They drop things. Things fall. They drop more things. They learn gravity in their body through experience before they have a word for it. Second, learning through failure without fear. A baby learning to walk falls approximately 2,000 times before they get it right. They do not interpret falling as evidence that they are bad at walking. They just get up, try again, adjust. At some point, we started treating mistakes as evidence of inability rather than evidence of process. And that is the moment learning got hard. Third, learning driven by curiosity, not obligation. A child touches everything, questions everything, pulls things apart, wants to know why. Nobody assigned them curiosity as homework. It is intrinsic, built in, self-fueled, naturally rewarding. Then someone decided to put marks on curiosity, rank it, test it, grade it, and slowly, for a lot of people, the curiosity went very quiet. And fourth, learning through observation and imitation. A child watches everything around them and copies it. How adults speak, how people react to each other, what gets a laugh, what gets disapproval. They are not passive observers, they are active scientists running constant experiments on the social world. None of these 4 things require a book. All 4 of these things are still available to you right now. You did not lose them. You just stopped using them. Now, psychology has identified several major types of learning. Based on it, each one is a full topic on its own, and each one is getting its own dedicated video in the future sets. But here is your quick tour, just enough to make you understand what each one is and why it matters. Classical conditioning. You learn to respond to things you did not respond to before because of association. You hear the school bell ring, and suddenly you feel hungry. Not because you are actually hungry, but because that bell always meant lunch, and your brain never forgot. Operant conditioning. You learn based on the consequences of your behavior. Reward something, it increases. Punish something, it decreases. You cleaned your room without being asked. Your parents praised you like you had won a Nobel Prize. You cleaned it again the next week. Reward worked. Behavior repeated. Simple. Observational learning. You learn by watching others without doing it yourself at all. You never had a cooking class in your life, but you watched your mother cook every single day. And somehow, you just know how to make that one dish perfectly. You never learned it. You just watched it enough times. Cognitive learning. Learning through thinking, understanding, and making meaning, not just behavior and response. You are solving a puzzle. You sit, You think. You try different pieces. And then suddenly, you see it. The pattern clicks. The solution appears. Nobody told you. Nothing rewarded you. Your brain just figured it out. Active learning versus passive learning. Remember our friends from the beginning? The highlighter, the beautiful notes, the rereader, the crammer. Here is what all of them have in common. They are all passive learning strategies. Passive learning means receiving information without actively doing anything with it. While active learning is testing yourself, explaining concepts out loud, applying information, connecting it to what you already know, forces your brain to actually build those neural pathways, not just walk past them. The most powerful active learning technique psychology has found is called active recall. I am going to show it right now. If I give you a list of words right now and just ask you to listen to it once, after a while, you might not be able to recall them, maybe just 3 or 4, because you just heard those words. That's passive learning. Now, instead, if I give you a list of words like elephant, paintbrush, volcano, telephone, castle, balloon, compass. But this time, as I say each one, you associate it. Like, picture the elephant holding the paintbrush painting a volcano, the volcano erupting into a telephone, and so on. You build the chain. Now it will be easier for you to recall them, even when I ask you after a while. That is active learning. So, learning. Not just studying, not just reading, not just being in the room where information is present. A relatively permanent change built through experience, repetition, curiosity, and active engagement. And as always, it is time for our mind fact section. Research shows that being tested on material, even before you have fully learned it, helps you retain it significantly better than studying alone. This is called the testing effect, or retrieval practice effect. Being tested on information strengthens memory for it more than restudying the same material. Roediger and Karpicke, 2006. The act of trying to remember something, even when you get it wrong, forces your brain to build and strengthen the exact neural pathways you need. Every time you test yourself, your brain treats it as important information. And important information gets stored deeply. So, the next time you sit down to study, close the book first. Write down everything you can remember. Then open the book and check. That struggle you feel when you cannot remember something, that is your brain learning. That is literally what learning feels like. Quick recap for your notes. Learning is a relatively permanent change from experience. It happens through synaptic connections strengthening in the brain. Children learn so well because they learn actively through experience, failure, curiosity, and observation. The 4 types, classical, operant, observational, and cognitive, each get their own full video very soon. And passive learning strategies are significantly less effective than active ones. Leave me a comment. Which learner type from the beginning was you? See you in the next one. And until then, close the book. Test yourself. That discomfort is the learning.
Thank you for watching.